I entered the flow state by pinching and rolling my balls. So I was sitting there doing my usual pastime. I was just scrolling on YouTube Shorts, and I was pinching and rolling my balls. And I was doing it for so long where I realized I wasn't even watching the reel anymore. I was just like in an interdimensional state where I could feel everything, but I could also feel nothing at the same time. And the act of pinching and rolling my balls, it just felt so pleasurable, where I entered like just a different realm. Like I was thinking about everything and nothing at the same time. And at that moment, I felt what Kobe felt every time he hit a clutch play. I felt what Michael Jordan felt every time he won a championship. And I think that's what life is about. Like, you just have to be so retarded that you can't think of anything at all, but you have to think of everything at the same time. And
He's completely right. This is super inspiring stuff. He's completely right about everything. Welcome to the Pinching and Rolling channel. We got good stuff today. It's a Saturday slop stream in protest of the Jewish Sabbath. You love to see it. This is what we do. We got Black Flag for a little while, at least, in preparation for Black Flag Resynced. It's looking good. We got hype for a Ubisoft game before GTA 6. It's truly incredible stuff. Nobody expected it. There was no way to know that this was going to happen. It's completely wild. But yeah, that's what we got. We're gonna do some reacting. We got some good stuff happening. We got Trent Horn on the Whatever podcast. We got Theo Vaughn. Maybe some Act Man talking about Death Stranding. Christian Science. I think that's all we'll get to today. Maybe we'll do a little bit more. We might have some of the 513 stack on. Who knows? I want to look at this Theo Vaughn clip.
When it comes to lowering healthcare costs in Georgia, we need to move fast.
Silence. Silence to that slop nonsense. Let's see, I think we'll go full screen for this one because it's short. And then I'll swap over to the gameplay for some of the longer stuff. Yeah, so we got Theo Vaughn on religion. That's interesting. I saw a little bit of this. It looks pretty good, so we're going to get into it.
Some of this industry, out here in Los Angeles, in some of this industry and stuff that I'm in, it's not a rejection against Christ, but there's definitely, religion isn't super welcome. People want to be offended, or people want, there's this vibe out here. Sometimes I feel like you're going to offend. Oh, you can't have, there's something weird about faith, or in some areas people are like, thoughts and prayers. People don't like that. But man, I feel like faith is just such a healing thing for people.
True. Los Angeles is a completely, godless heathen city. It's completely terrible. You hear some of the stuff that goes on there, and it's just completely disgusting. But yeah, he's right. Faith is our medicine. So he's completely right on that one.
Yeah, I feel alone. I feel hitchhiking. when if I don't have some kind of a faith. And as I even talk about this, I realize that my faith isn't very strong right now, and that it can really be tightened up. And but yeah, to feel, I mean, having faith, that's a free parent. You get a free parent.
True. You get a free father, you get a free mother, you get a free family, brothers and sisters. It's completely, it's a completely good deal in everything. Like there's no downsides to it.
Man, I'm not thinking I'm out here in this world. This is all for me. This is all on my back. That I have no point. That I don't have an umbilical cord to some sort of being. Now, Jesus Christ, man, that was the most popular guy in my area growing up. I think the dude is a great role model. I think he could be the son of God. I think his brother could be, who's the little chubby guy, that positive baby, that little fruit, that bad boy eating fruits in the diaper. Buddha. Maybe Buddha's his brother. And Mother Nature.
No, what are we talking about? We're getting strange now. I don't know about that one.
Nature is their sister.
No.
And yin and yang are their Asian cousins. And you got this one big beautiful family of people that when we feel alone, we don't have to.
So this is interesting. It's kind of he's kind of taking a little bit of a universalist perspective here. Saying that, all these things are, somewhat related. It's all kind of part of the same stuff. So that's interesting. It's not too surprising, I guess, for somebody kind of on the outside of it all. But it is interesting that that's kind of where he goes.
Or when we feel like we're not part of something that we don't have to. I can't. And look, I know some people out there are atheists and stuff, and they don't want to believe in anything, and that's, and I can't understand it. But I also come from a place where I think I've felt alone a lot. And so if you're telling me that there is there's a free being, a free body, a free parent, a free love, a free heart out there in the universe that will help me not feel alone, man, come on. That's a lottery ticket that I don't have to scratch, man. I'll take that all day.
True, he makes a really good point. I think for a lot of us, being alone is the easiest thing ever. We're really good at it. But he's right, there is this whole, spiritual world out there, this whole God that we're connected to. So you never have to be truly, completely alone because you have that connection to God and to the saints and all that side of it. So I think he's on the right track here. He has some strange universalist ideas. Hopefully he leans into the right thing.
That all day because I want to be a part of something bigger. I don't want to be a part of just myself. And I want to leave here and I want to feel something again. I want to feel something again, even if it's just the feeling of your spirit touching the spirit of your parents or of your grandparents or of your sister or of one of your ancestors or somebody else's. Just a feeling of your spirit bumping into somebody else's in another world that's safe and normal and comfortable, maybe not even normal. Some new normal. I don't know. I'll take that chance, man. Fuck, I'd love to be a ghost, bruh. Dude, could you imagine if we get to be ghosts? Oh, it's gonna be so much fun. Imagine being ghosts.
That'd be
You
wild.
eat, everything you eat just falls right onto the floor. I would love that. I think Jesus Christ would be a great guest. I think he'd be great to talk to.
True.
I think that'd be a nice person to sit down and have lunch with. You know, I think it's a great role model. You know, I don't want to not have any faith, man. I feel like I don't want to not have any. And now I'm open to figuring out where that faith lies. You know, one thing that was interesting for me was when I started to travel and go to other countries and see that other people believed in different deities and different gods. It was not fair to me to then think, oh, well, none of these people go to heaven or none of these people go to an afterlife or only my God is the only one. But you got to believe in something good. I ain't accepting any of these cats believing in the dark arts. You know, they're thinking all the treasures right here on earth. That's tricky, man. That's
Based. He's completely right. But when you get into it enough, there can only be, not everybody can be right, because all these different religions and, spiritual ideas aren't compatible with each other, especially monotheistic stuff is very exclusive when it comes to what's real and what isn't. You can't have, a monotheistic view that's compatible with a polytheistic view or a spiritualist view. So obviously that's wrong. Um, Everybody does have an afterlife, because of, regardless of which religion is correct, it would apply to everybody, whether you believe in it or not. And he's touching on something here that the church actually teaches is that, if you don't have access to the gospel, if it's never been brought to you, it could be revealed in extraordinary means, like a specific personal revelation or some sort of judgment based on how you responded to the revelation you did receive, based on your own conscience. So, I mean, he's not completely wrong there, but I think he's coming from more of a universalist perspective. But it does seem like he's leaning towards the spiritual, which I think is a really good sign.
it just seems cold. It just seems and look, I'm open to learn and but for me the way that religion has always been most comfortable in my life, in my environment when I grew up, was Catholicism or Baptists, Presbyterians. Dude, I thought Presbyterians were honestly lesbians. I didn't know. I didn't know.
Presbyterians are lesbians. That's what's, that's the wild part about it is Presbyterians are gay. So, I mean, he's right there too. He said, he feels close to Catholicism. That's what he grew up with. I hope I hope that goes somewhere. That would obviously be the best outcome.
I mixed it up when I was young, dude, and I would hear those bells ring, and I would, I'd be like, dang, they got a lot of ladies heading over there. A lot of ladies, boy, gonna be packing into that building. Because I thought Presbyterians were, straight up lesbians, but
They are.
But this is different. Wow, you know what's crazy is my sister can't even read. But what does it have to do with us right now? Hope you enjoyed that video. And
Based women that can't read? That's good stuff. I thought this was a different video, actually. I saw one where he was talking about praying. I thought that's what this was, but I guess not. But that was good stuff. So it seems like he's leaning in towards some sort of spiritual life. That's good. We should be praying for Theo Vaughn that he finds Christ. That's good stuff. Next up, I think we'll get into I want to get into this. This is Trent Horn on the Whatever podcast. Complete slop. I guarantee it. It's going to be complete slop. It's going to be some OnlyFans girl or something, probably, that doesn't know anything, trying to keep up with Trent Horn. It's going to be complete degenerate slop, but that's what we're here for. This is 3.5 hours long, so I'll put it on like 1.5. This will probably be the majority of the stream right here. Or actually, here's what I'll do. I saw you uploaded this too. This is highlights. I think we'll just watch the highlights.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, we'll just do this so we're not here forever. You know what I mean? It's like we don't need to watch 3.5 hours of that slop. This is probably, the best stuff anyway. So let's get into it. Trent Horn on the Whatever podcast debating complete slop nonsense. We'll put Black Flag. We'll get that up. Yeah, let's get into this.
In
slop.
today's episode, I'm going to share highlights from my recent debate with OnlyFans pornographer Farha Khalidi. This debate was hosted in person on the Whatever podcast. And if you want to help us cover the costs of traveling to venues like this, then please support us at TrentHornPodcast.com. And now, here's some highlights from my debate with Farha.
Because despite an increasingly in vogue anti-feminist zeitgeist, I don't believe that sex grounded in love or marriage is inherently more respectful or self-actualizing for women than sex grounded in lust or transaction. Sex grounded in love is often entitled. A man named Randy Vanett repeatedly essayed his 50-year-old partner while she was passed out on pain meds battling throat cancer. He told her about this, and she told him this makes her feel violated, but he said it's to make up for the times that her pain got in the way of them having sex. So she wiretapped a confession out of him and reported him to the police, where he confessed it again. Despite this, the police told Randy that he's done nothing wrong and declined to prosecute. Your husband is the man in your life most likely to rape you.
Well, I had a more informal opening statement that I'd like to go through. First, I would like to say I'm really glad that you're here. I think that is a very beautiful engagement ring that you have on, by the way. So congrats to that.
You want to show it to the camera?
Who would, I don't know. If you're marrying OnlyFans models, that's, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know if there's much we can do for you, if that's what you're getting into.
It's super. That is a nice. It's very.
That's a good opening statement. It's like you're a.
But I mean, like, good on her though. She scammed some idiot into marrying her. She got him. So good on her, I guess. She got what she wanted out of that.
Hypocrite.
No, I'm just saying that it's a very shocking thing to hear. It reminds me, and like I said, this is a bit more informal. We can go back and forth. It's like when there are some anti-feminist women who sit in front of me and talk about how horrible women are, and I'm like, well, you're a woman. This is the weirdest thing ever. So it's just super duper weird for me to hear, like, I think at one point, and I'll include some of this. We'll go back and forth. What I want to say is that I believe that we can have virtue. We can have people, there are people who live virtue. To love is to will the good. And there are good people. There are bad people, but we need good people in order to keep the bad people in check. And I think, honestly, if we practice virtue and discipline as a society, we understand that each of us is made in the image and likeness of God, then we can reach our full human flourishing, our full potential as human beings. And so what I want to argue today is that the root of society, the foundation of society, I think there's oftentimes two errors here. Some will say that it is the individual, and others will say that it is it's just the country or the state. But I believe that the root of society is the family, because it is through the family that we get more people. But I do think it's just it's a baffling thing just to see someone, and congrats, wanting to enter into marriage, but could speak about the idea of sex being grounded in love being no better than sex not being grounded in love. That's like 2 + 2 = 5 to me. That's just a wild thing. What I heard in that opening was really just like, I feel like, yes, there's bad things, but we could harden our hearts so that the bad things never hurt us, or live in virtue and face the bad things head on and choose to be good even in the midst of evil. It's better to suffer evil than to do evil. It's better to be human and humane to others, even if we might get hurt, than to be inhuman so that we don't get hurt. When we talk about feminism, I don't like the label feminism because, you know, it's been put into this idea of like marriage is bad, men are bad, kids are bad. I don't agree with any of that stuff. So I don't like the label feminism, but I do like the idea that Marie Scheer in 1986 said, feminism is the radical notion that women are people. Okay, I think women are people, men are people, treat each other like people. I don't see what's wrong with that. John Paul II, in his work, Gospel of Life, he said this: in transforming cultures that it supports life, women occupy a place in thought and action, which is unique and decisive. It depends on them to promote a new feminism, which rejects the temptation of imitating models of male domination in order to acknowledge and affirm the true genius of women in every aspect of the life of society and overcome all discrimination, violence, and exploitation. So I think we agree violence and exploitation is bad. I agree all the things you listed were really bad. I think we're going to disagree on the answer to that. I think the answer is virtue and people willing to take the risk to do good, and getting married, having children, promoting a virtuous life, well worthwhile and can be done. And I think many other things, pornography, abortion, premarital sex, sexual disorders, that inhibits one's ability to be sexually virtuous. I want people not just to have the bare minimum sexual morality, virtue, doing that which is good. Virtue comes from vir, manly, men to be men, so that women can trust them. I think bad men crave feminism. Good men are the answer to feminism. I think you and I fundamentally disagree, though, about, like, I would never say that in my marriage I sexualize myself or my wife. What I would say is, and the question I would ask you would be, what is sex for? And so for me, I believe the answer written in our very being is this: sex is for the expression of marital love. So that leads to what is marital love. I would say that, and that gets us to a more fundamental thing. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me no more, no more. Love is when you will the good for another, but I like one definition of love being this: love always seeks, not definition, but it's commonality. Love seeks union with the beloved. Like, I love going in and out when I'm out here. I have union with the burger. If you love a friend, you spend time with him. Marital love is a very unique kind of union. It's a bodily union. In marriage, husband and wife fully give themselves to one another, mind, body, heart, and soul. They give themselves to each other, and free and unreserved, in bonds that say, I am yours till death do us part. It's that complete gift of self, a union, nothing like it. And what's neat about it is that the man and woman, incomplete on their own, when they come together, that union, it's real union, can produce something greater than them. It has the capability of producing a new person with an immortal soul. That's crazy that God entrusted us with that. And so that child becomes a sign of their gift to each other. And so sex is a way of expressing that. When husbands and wives fully give themselves to one another, it's the greatest love on earth, and I want more people to experience that. And things like the General Social Survey statistically show that married people are on average happier than unmarried people. There's going to be cases like ones you cited, but there's also cases of unmarried people who are more likely to be abused because they're in tenuous relationships. There's lots. For example, take abortion. 87% of abortions are obtained by unmarried women. So you're much more comfortable, secure feeling with the child if you're pregnant, if you're married, than if you're unmarried.
But also 80% of abortions were procured by women who conceived the fetus while in a relationship with the father. So why not just draw the line at casual versus in a relationship? And then I can just as easily deduce, okay, therefore casual sex is better because you're less likely as a woman to be coerced into unprotected sex, because it's actually easier for you to like lay out a boundary to someone who you don't have to necessarily see a week later. It's hard to do that to a boyfriend or husband, right? So you're kind of choosing where to draw the distinction, when I can just as easily draw it casual versus non-casual.
No, I wouldn't put it in that way, because when someone's in a relationship, they're going to be having sex a lot more. So it makes more sense when you do become pregnant, it's going to be in the context of a relationship where people are not having tons and tons of casual sex. Most people, they might have a few flings here or there, but most people who have sex outside of marriage, the number of encounters, it's just easier, well, especially for men, to have sex in a relationship versus just casual, or I'd say like with a stranger or something like that. So I think, though, it's clear in the statistics to drop down that when you are married, you really have a stable connection to that other person that other people recognize there is in law, in society, in culture, and it really does change the relationship. It makes it something more stable. I'm excited for that for your relationship with your beau. So, and I would encourage that for people that has been historically throughout history a way to provide stability. When marriage breaks down, we get a lot of other problems. The reason sex is so important is because families make society. Like, what is society? It's a bunch of people, right? Where do people come from? Mm-hmm. They come from families. So it's in the best interest of society to make sure families are really strong. So like when a baby is born, they're super helpless. I have 3 children. They're all one of them was born at home accidentally. It was COVID. And so like we didn't want to, we were waiting to go to the hospital because we really want to go. And he's on his way, and I catch him, and then I'm getting ready I took off my shoelace to make like a little tourniquet to tie off the cord, and then like the ambulance gets there and all that. But like when that little guy was born, it's like, wow, he's totally helpless. Like me and my wife Laura, like we are irreplaceable to him. I mean, if we died, other people could raise him, but it would never be exactly the same. It'd still be a loss. But so if we're irreplaceable to him, like what if it's good? There's something that makes us irreplaceable, that bonds us together, makes us irreplaceable to each other. And that's where marriage comes in. And sex is really important to marriage because that's what keeps the couples united together. So that's why I super don't like it that like you do OnlyFans and 90% of the people who use OnlyFans are married guys. I mean, I think like let me give you an example. Like let's say if I owned a gun store and I found out 90% of my customers were murderers, like they used the guns to kill people, I would close down shop the next day.
I just barely got that. Look at that. I would have been, if I got hit by one more cannonball, it would have been completely over for me. But I did it because Rome is winning. Rome stays winning. So we got it. We sunk that legendary ship. That's the third one today. I have one more, and then I would have. Then I'll wipe the whole thing. That'll be all 4 legendary ships in one day. It's incredible stuff. Truly, truly inspiring stuff happening.
So for me, I'm just like, does that ever like give you pause or make you feel like, oh, guilty or sad or anything?
No, I mean, you and I maybe have some. Well, let me give you an example. So you're Catholic. You'd probably think that thinking of someone with lust is a form of adultery, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty radical. I would think also it's cheating to be like checking out another girl, or at least it like transgresses monogamy. If, for instance, you're watching porn and stuff like that, or if you're like,
and I'm not like a super weird like, oh my gosh, if you glance and notice somebody, you're cheating. It's like there's a difference between
looking at someone and checking them out.
There's a difference between a snapshot and time lapse photography.
Okay. Yeah, so my point was like lust based off both of our definitions. I don't mean just checking someone out, right? So if I were walking around in, let's say not even this outfit, I'm at the beach wearing a bikini, right? Let's say 90% of the people who check me out are married men. I would say that they've committed adultery. So would you. I wouldn't then say that I have a moral onus to cover up just because most of the people looking at me shouldn't be, right? It's fine for single people to look at me perhaps, or it's fine for people who aren't like transgressing a monogamous relationship, but why does the onus fall on me for them transgressing it when both watching porn and subscribing to someone's OnlyFans and checking someone out by both of our worldviews is infidelity? So why is the onus only falling on me for one of those? Is it just because I'm making money off it, or what is it?
No, I would reject the premise. I would say that it's wrong for you to use nudity and sex to make money on OnlyFans, and I also think women who do it for free on the beach, that's also wrong. I think
wear bikinis.
Yeah, I think that that's the virtue of modesty, and the reason for that is I believe, and this is where I think we might differ. I think sex has an inherent, powerful meaning that is always communicated in sexual acts. It is something intrinsic. You can't turn it off. So you can't be like, oh, when I have sex with this person, it means something. But when I have sex with this person, it doesn't mean anything. That's a lie. That's not true. Under my view of what sex is, because it's written into our nature as human beings, sex always is about communicating that kind of marital love. Now, revealing the sexual elements of one's body is a prelude to that. So I believe that sex is not just something that we do. It's something that we are. Just because somebody commits evil towards you doesn't mean you would commit evil.
I'm just asking between the two, a woman masturbating or having sex with a husband who tells her she looks hideous naked, which one's more ethical?
Which one's more ethical?
Yeah, because I would pick the first.
Well, I would say the sex act itself between the two of them, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. But sex outside of now, what the sex act itself is nothing wrong, but the husband's being a total jackass. He's being mean
he
to
disrespects
her.
Yeah,
he disrespects her, and you could change the genders and you'd reach the same conclusion.
But I think it'd be more an infringement on her self-actualization and dignity for her to have sex with a man, even if she's married towards him, even if it's unprotected. So it's ordered towards procreation and pair bonding. If he tells her she looks hideous naked, than for her to just opt to masturbate. I'm not saying a woman in the real world has to masturbate just because her husband. I'm just saying between the two, the former is obviously better, right? I think you obviously agree, which is why you're being hesitant about it.
No, I'm not hesitant about it because you've loaded the example. I'm saying that non-procreative sex is disordered. Our genitals were not made to be just orgasm machines. So that is disordered, but there's going to be levels of where you can identify the disorder. So let's say, I'll give that example. Which do you think is worse? That lady is just like, she got sex with her abusive husband, or she puts peanut butter on her vagina and lets the dog lick it off. And it's like, at least the dog doesn't make fun of me. Man's best friend. Do you think that's better for her than sleeping with her husband?
Every white girl with a German Shepherd is doing that, by the way, just so we're all aware. It's terrible stuff. Never trust it. You can't trust that stuff at all. It's all of them. It's every single one. I'm gonna not base that on any evidence, but I think we all know that's true.
Husband?
My concerns with bestiality are just about animal cruelty. If you were to like zero out animal cruelty somehow.
I agree that peanut butter can really get stuck in a dog's mouth, so that can be hard. We'll try jam, strawberry jam.
I would say like it'd be better for a woman to do the dog thing than, for instance, have sex with her husband who beats her. Yeah.
Okay, so you think it'd be better if she's like, oh man, nobody.
Even though one's more disordered, I think the better thing for me is the one which is more congruent with her like self-actualization when she's not being demeaned.
That's crazy. Bestiality is better than being demeaned. Incredible stuff. See, this is why secularization is ruining societies, because you get ridiculous statements like that. That's completely insane. It's actually worse to sleep with your husband than commit bestiality. It's like, what even are we talking about? Is this even America still? Like, is this the first world? I mean, she doesn't look, I'm not going to get into that, but, like, she looks a little bit Middle Eastern, so Maybe that's what it is.
Beaten, abused, yeah. Obviously, it's more disordered, and maybe like we would think that's very antisocial of her.
So you think it's better for a woman to engage in bestiality than to have sex with a crummy guy?
With a what?
A crummy guy, mean guy. It's better to have sex with a nice dog than a mean man.
I don't know about the sex stuff.
Better a nice dog than a mean man. I couldn't have said it better myself. That's probably completely right, because as long as she's, actualizing herself, whatever that means, then it's probably okay. You know what I mean? Who are we really to say what's unhinged or not?
Fine. Not intercourse, to engage in. Well, fine. Which is worse? A mean man performs cunnilingus on her, or the nice dog?
If there was like a reality in which you can run like tests, like I'm vegan, right? So I'm very pro like considering animals.
You just don't eat them, but like
yeah, but I'm saying that like if you could somehow actually test the animals' like desires and like push the levers that they could consent and all those types of things, right?
Well, I mean, as a ridiculous liberal vegan, if you believe that animals should have the same rights as people, then you're basically applying a personhood status to an animal. So like, why is bestiality even wrong if that's just as much of a person as you are? You know what I mean? So maybe she's actually making complete sense. She's just unhinged and some sort of mentally ill.
Then like I have no issue saying that like it'd be more disordered because it's atypical, it'd be more antisocial, it'd be more like maybe it could be a proxy for other mental illnesses, right? But I would say that it's worse for her to have sex with a man who beats her, assuming she doesn't want to be, isn't engaging in some sort of like BDSM type thing. Okay. Like consensual.
No, because let's run down this disturbing road more, because this is where I have the big problem with very minimal. I mean, you put self-actualization here, but I worry that word doesn't really do any work beyond consent. You say, oh, well, it's antisocial to have a dog, working on you or something like that down yonder. Is it okay to play? It's okay to go to the beach. We went down to the beach here in Santa Barbara, play frisbee. That's a fun thing to do, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say I brought my dog and I'm like, hey guys, he's super good at this. I'm going to work on frisbee with my dog. Like, that's not an antisocial thing for me to play frisbee with my dog.
Right.
So why would it be antisocial to do sexual pleasure with a dog? If you do with other people and every now and then Fido gets a treat. I mean, for me, it's just patently obvious. It's because sex is for people, and we know it's for people because of the procreative end. When you take that away, you get all of this just crazy.
But if the issue for you, for why it's wrong to have sex with a dog, has little concern with the animal cruelty, it's simply because you're saying sex is designed for two people to engage with, so just get rid of the dog in general, because it has nothing to do with animal cruelty, and then focus on the masturbation, because the dog is good shock value. But if the issue is just that sex is designed for two people, why not just keep it between masturbation? Like, why not just have it be masturbation? Because the animals' desires are irrelevant to you in the moral equation, so just have it be masturbation versus whatever type of sex with a crummy guy.
The reason I have to do that is because masturbation is very common. Okay, it's just a lot of the people.
But in your view, it's as disordered as bestiality, because the only reason, by your view, bestiality is morally disordered is because sex is designed for two people, ideally in marriage and ordered towards procreation. Animal cruelty is irrelevant to you.
No, because it's not about animal cruelty.
It's that sex is designed for husband and wife.
Can I finish, please? Because I have constructed an example where it can't be cruel because the animal isn't suffering any harm or pain or anything like that, any more than if you let him lick the jam out of the jar.
Yeah.
Or lick, if the jam like spilled on your leg, you're having dinner and that's the trope with the dog, right? The food falls from the table, dog comes and eats it. Dang it, I dropped the jam on my foot. Fido, and he comes over and licks the jam off your foot. Nobody cares. That's not cruelty. But I'm picking this example because it shocks people. Like, whoa, that's bad. That's gross. Because they live in a culture that has brainwashed them to say, oh yeah, it's fine. Masturbation is fine. Sodomy is fine. These things are fine. And so now I have to say, look, if you take that thinking as to why you think it's fine, you got to accept all these other things. Because I gave the other example. I don't know if I mentioned I think before the show, but it doesn't have to even just be a living animal. What about people who use roadkill as a masturbatory aid?
That's
crazy. Necrophilic bestiality.
Yeah, you could still
there's no cruelty there, but clearly that's freaking messed up.
Yes.
But you can't say it's wrong. What the guy is doing is incredibly unethical. And if she chooses to have sex with him regardless of that,
that's a wild. You know what I mean? That she has any sort of defense for that one at all. That's completely unhinged. The fact that the fact that it even can be debated, tells you all you need to know about these people.
She has done nothing wrong. But I don't think that she should be compelled to have sex with someone who is abusing her. But if she chooses to have sex in this situation, then she has not done anything wrong. But if she commits infidelity, which that's what I want to ask you about infidelity.
I'm not asking whether she's doing something wrong. Sorry. Which is the more ethical scenario? Sorry. A woman having...
Scenarios aren't ethical. People are.
A woman having consensual sex, so he's not raping her, consensual sex with a man who beats her. She's not happy about the beating. It's not consensual beating. Or a woman having casual sex with her male best friend who thinks the world of her and treats her great.
It's the same as if I could say, which is the more ethical scenario? A person works at a job where their boss exploits them, or a person goes and steals. The more, what do you think? A person works at a job and they're being paid, but also it's an unfair working condition and it's substandard and bad, versus they go and steal. Which is the more ethical scenario?
Well, I would ask for more questions about the stealing one. Like, I can give you details for both my categories.
Fine. They steal.
If they steal from Walmart, I think it's better for them to like steal from Walmart. Yeah.
How about stealing from?
There we go. All 4 legendaries in one day. There's only 2 in here. You know, there's only 2 on the stream, but I did the other 2 before stream. All 4 legendary ships down in one day. You know, who else can do it? You know, we stay winning. We stay winning over here on the Wild Papist channel. Tell everybody that I am the pirate captain. I am the captain now. No one even comes close. Cope and Seethe merchants, Cope and Seethe Spaniards in the English. I'm winning.
Family makes 100,000 a year.
It's probably better for them to say the exploitation would matter too. If they're working in a massage parlor where they're being exploited in the sense of they're being forced to like jerk off customers and their bosses essaying them, then I would say probably rip off the family who makes 100K. Yeah.
Okay, so we're okay, and that's the big divide between us. That I think we do live in an evil world. The Bible even talks about how the devil is the god of this world. It's in suffering. There's evil, and the question is, how will we respond to evil? Some people say, "Fine, I'm going to be just as bad or even worse." And I would say our true calling, as being made in the image and likeness of God, is to be filled with the grace of God, so that we can go and do good and even suffer through evil. That's why I love being a Christian. My Lord, he was horribly abused. People mocked him. They whipped him. His skin was falling off of him. And he didn't go and knock over the Judean 7-Eleven. He willingly submitted to horrible, agonizing suffering for me and you, even though we don't deserve it. And that's what I want to be like. And I think most people deep down, they can look at someone and say, wow, they really suffered a lot in life, but look at how they carried that suffering and always chose to do good. Like, I'll ask you this. When you were given a choice between good and evil, should you always choose good?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Good. That's the most basic element of
But
natural law. I want to ask about your rules about infidelity, because you basically said, did you say earlier there's really no difference between sex that's done for lust and sex that's done for love?
I didn't say there's no difference. I said I wouldn't say that sex done through a medium of love is inherently more respectful towards that woman or congruent with self-actualization than sex through a medium of lust or transaction. I could spell it out for like why I have that belief of why I don't think sex work is inherently more degrading. Actually, like obviously, like the actual skin trade is horrible for women because it's just a veneer for sex trafficking most of the time. But I think as a concept, like it's not necessarily more degrading for a woman to, sell sex or do it through a medium of lust.
Okay, so
removing coercion or her getting her hopes up about the guy coming back the next morning, like her having like full informed consent and desire and all those things. Yeah, I don't think it's.
Here's a statement: sex that is given because you love the other person more than anyone else, because you love them, that is morally superior to having sex so you can make money. Now, is that statement true or false?
No,
it's false.
No, yeah, that's just like the opposite of my argument. Yeah,
I know, and that's super. So what I would say is then you engaging in relations with your future husband, and then you going and having, let's say you had relations with somebody else while you're married. They're morally equivalent?
No, one's committing adultery, which is wrong because you're breaking like the contract you enter into with your spouse, which is just to ideally like symmetrically mitigate their jealousy and stuff like that. But I wouldn't even say that necessarily means both are equal in general. Like one could be better and that could be more enjoyable. It could be more, it could make you happier and all those things. I'm just saying, on its face, I don't think one is necessarily more moral. You could still prescribe that someone does one over the other because maybe it'll lead them to be happier and all those things. But I'm saying I don't believe that just because a woman like consensually gets naked for strangers that she's degrading herself versus getting naked for her husband.
Yeah, I feel like you have to create this framework to justify what you do.
No.
And most people seeing this would just say that's totally bonkers.
I mean, I've been putting this out. I sleep at night knowing the only reason people started pearl clutching about porn use being a form of infidelity is once girls like me started turning a profit off of it. But before it, they were very eager to say that's not cheating; it's purely physical. So now people are like, "How do you sleep at night when you ruin marriages?" I'm like, we didn't say that to strippers, even though the most frequent patrons of strip clubs were married. We didn't say that about like Hooters girls, even though I always see like husbands there and stuff like that, and their girlfriends have to sit in the cuck chair, being okay with them like gawking another girl, right? Like we only do it when girls like me seem to like turn a profit off of it, turn clout off of it, right? But they had no problem with like again, what 87% of guys watch porn every week, right? Like all these guys did it, and they told their girlfriend to look the other way. Like I think your moral panic over it is more sincere since you're against it both ways. But would you agree that most people suddenly only started caring about how porn use affects relationships once OnlyFans exploded?
No, because people have been crusading against pornography for decades, including feminists.
Yeah,
also.
radfems and tradcons, but everyone
and
else,
Christian conservatives.
Yeah,
sure, because most people who are just of the world are degenerate, and so they'll make all kinds of rationalizations and inconsistent standards for themselves. And I'm very big in calling it out for everybody, absolutely. But I think like the guys getting like mad. I think the guys getting mad about you making a bunch of money, or like some of these OF girls making a bunch of money.
I think that's 100% what it cashes out to for most. Not for you, because you're consistent and you've been doing it for a long time.
Here's why they get mad when they hear
envy.
No.
Yes.
No, because when I find out J.K. Rowling made $1 billion with Harry Potter, I'm not mad because I'm a Gryffindor and I have honor. But also, I am like, oh, this really enriched the world. It really.
No, what a goy. Oh, because I'm a Gryffindor and I have honor. Don't be a goy. come on, Trent Horn, we can't be like this. We can't be into this Harry Potter. Oh, I'm a Gryffindor slop. What are we even doing here? You know what I mean? I would argue that's just as degenerate as what she's doing, if not more, because it's just pathetic goy slop.
Made people better. I dropped my phone 2 hours ago. Now I can find it and keep it back up here. See the time. I'm not mad that Steve Jobs made a ton of money making an iPhone, making stuff that benefited the world. I think these guys get mad because deep down they are ashamed of what they do. It's a sign. No, let me finish, and you can hop in. Deep down, to have to resort to paying some lady to do this fantasy that isn't real, to do this to get sexual pleasure. Deep down, they are ashamed. It's why they don't publicly talk about it. They don't publicly brag about it. It's not a hobby you share with other people. They're ashamed of that, seeing that oh, this person, I have done something that I know is shameful and is deeply unmasculine and weak of me, and they want to lash out at the person. They want to blame somebody for their deeply unmasculine pit they found themselves in. Much the same way, if a guy was using drugs, and he uses drugs and he feels like crap afterwards, and then he sees his drug dealer drive by in a BMW. If you see a regular guy with a BMW, yeah, some people are very envious. That happens. But other people well, whatever. He's working hard. Da, da, da. But I'm this guy made me feel like crap, and I've been sucked into this, and now he's doing well. He's been able to do so well off of me feeling like crap. I think that's what a lot of these OF guys feel like. Users, subs. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or do you think women are better than men?
You would have to give a specific category. I think
that's true. That that shame aspect of it. I think that's definitely what it is. Because like you said, you don't feel bad about, because it is literally the same thing as a drug dealer. It's completely identical. So I think he's spot on there.
Women in general tend to be more empathetic. I don't even know if that's necessarily hardwired. I don't think that's it's.
Women are obviously not better than men. I mean, do we even have to talk about that one? Women are obviously not better. Everybody's equal. Everybody's equal, but also women are obviously not better.
Necessarily discuss whether it is, but I think when it comes to oftentimes morality, I think women can often be morally better. I don't think that gives them more human.
Completely false. That's no. No matter what angle you want to take on it, everybody's completely degenerate. Women are encouraged to be degenerate. They are definitely not morally better in any way. That's completely ridiculous. She says that while she's a prostitute, that women are morally better. What are we talking about?
Worth those. When you say are women better, I would say they do better things, but are they better categorically?
Yeah, that's like asking, is New York near? We'd be near what? So it's asking, are women better?
That's reading my opening statement. That was what.
Well, it was in response.
But I'd answer that. I think men and women are better at certain traits, activities in just different ways. Women tend to be better at linguistic tasks and multitasking, and men tend to have better spatial reasoning, which is why my wife will ask me, "What'd you guys talk about at the party?" And I'm I don't remember, but I can sure. nail video games and driving. You mean being good?
Yes.
Moral?
Yes.
No, men and women, because they're each made, and this is actually why I love being Christian, is that as a Christian, since we believe all people are made in the image and likeness of God, we categorically reject any kind of sexism or racism that says a group of people are morally inferior. Because what makes us all moral is that we equally possess the image of God. And so now if you don't believe that, you might believe that certain humans are morally superior to others. But no, as a Christian, as a Catholic, I firmly reject racism, sexism. And if you look at the history of the Catholic Church, there's probably more canonized female saints than male saints.
Well, one of the things in Farah's opening is she says, frankly, I struggle to see how men en masse respect the women they supposedly claim to, their girlfriends, wives, and the mothers of their children, because despite an increasingly in vogue anti-feminist zeitgeist, I don't believe, Farah doesn't believe, that sex grounded in love or marriage is inherently more respectful or self-actualizing for women than sex grounded in lust or transaction.
We can get into that specific component.
Oh, I think that's the saddest. That's the saddest thing I heard. That's the saddest thing I heard.
I can flesh out my argument for it.
You fleshed it out more, and it was even sadder.
We've seen feminism increase. We've also seen sex work increase. Your thoughts there?
It depends. There's a debate. There has been a debate among feminists really since the 1970s about this question and prostitution. Feminists will say, look, women should not be treated like objects. Women should be valued just as much as men are valued. And so I think it's a compelling argument that the better form of feminism would say, well, men, to make ends meet, don't have to go and sell their bodies like this. They don't have to be consumed as objects in this way. In many cases, men monetize women who do this. Even the men who run OnlyFans monetize 20% of what you make in order to, they just found a nice, cleaner way to get a cut off of it. Andrew Tate did that with cam girls and stuff, which is, deplorable. So there have been feminists who say, well, some will say, like the raunch feminists will say, yeah, women can, you know, own their bodies, do whatever you want, to hell with anybody. But many others will say, look, the reality is there's some people, and I think you're going to admit this with OnlyFans. There's what, like, oh gosh, like 0.6% of the platform makes like 80% of the money or something. The average woman on there makes like $130 a month. Yeah. If she's, you know, and we see that like with Patreon. That's similar. Like I have a Patreon. It does decent well to have Council of Trent. A lot of people start a Patreon. They might only make $100, and that sucks. But at least they don't have naked pictures of them on the internet forever, which I think is definitely, you know, not worth anything, especially not $100.
So I would advise women, for the most part, not to start OnlyFans. They shouldn't, but not with a moral weight behind it. I think they shouldn't, in the sense of, like, pragmatically, like you pointed out, it's unlikely they're going to fleece a profit unless they're already like a notable like TikToker or Twitch star, etc., whatever it is. And they are going to set themselves up to potentially be like disqualified from a lot of jobs. Again, that doesn't speak to like the morality of it. I still just advise they shouldn't. Oh, on the sex work thing though, there are feminists who have argued, well, we should keep, well, I like prostitution. I hate the idea of calling it sex work, because if it were work, like we'd say, oh, OSHA regulations say you have to wear all this stuff to prevent fluids getting on you, and you know, we don't really treat it like work. It's not if you can do it if you can do it unconscious, it's not work. Yeah, and we're both against that. Like same way, like if you're having sex with your wife while
if you can do it unconscious, it's not work. Incredible stuff. This is wild. You know, it's not as wild as I thought. You know, I thought she would be, you know, probably stupider, because usually they are. This one actually, you know, seems like she thinks, even if she thinks ridiculous thoughts, she still has some thoughts. You know, I was hoping it would be like a complete, just like degenerate idiot debating Trent Horn. But you know, it's still wild. She's more, she has a more reasonable delivery when she's talking about how, you know, bestiality actually isn't that bad.
she's passed out, like the story I gave you of Randy.
That's also not, rape, sure. No doubt.
But I don't know why we're using like,
because in many cases, prostitution can be done even when people are semi-conscious, when they're on drugs, and they do that because most people, it's not a glamorous thing. Around the world, most people engage in prostitution to avoid things like starvation. Yeah. And so it is rife for exploitation and use of people. And so feminists will say, Brian, they'll say, well, you know what, if we can regulate. We don't, you know, it's going to happen anyways, legal or illegal. But then other feminists have argued, well, you could do the Nordic model. So like in Sweden, for example, since 1995, it has been illegal to buy sex, but not illegal to sell it. Because the worry is if you crack down on it, you just arrest these women, they end up back in the system, yada, yada. But they've done it where, okay, we're just going to arrest the buyers, not the sellers. And the women aren't driven underground, and we've reduced the rates. And there was only like one prostitute murdered by some abusive boyfriend there, whereas in like New Zealand and Germany, where it's legal, you have far more murders of prostitutes. So I would say that, yeah, Brian, there are feminists who push for it, and they're totally off base thinking this kind of stuff is empowering when, there was a study that was done by Yang Cho et al. In 2013 that says when you legalize prostitution, sex trafficking increases. They looked at 150 countries, and the reason for that is, yeah, if you legalize prostitution, like the rapists and creepy guys go to these people, but there's not enough prostitutes to meet the need. So there's not enough people who say, when I grow up, I want to be a prostitute. There's not enough people to fill that need, so you traffic them from other places. Yeah. When it becomes legal, need goes up, and there's not enough to fill it, so you got to traffic people in. Bad news. I have a question about a coercive example then. So you're saying husband and wife, and he wants to ask for a third lady into the arrangement. You said that could be coercive. You're skeptical. You're concerned. You're just skeptical of it. Yeah, but if they entered it again willingly from the onset, it'd be you're concerned about coercion there. Would you be concerned? He's not asking for another lady. He's asking to subscribe to you. Is that coercive? Yes, because porn use in relationships, I think, tends to be something that women turn a blind eye to, but they don't actually want it. Like half of women report being uncomfortable with male porn use in relationships. A third of wives consider it cheating. I think this number is lowballed because I think it's lowballed. I think more women are uncomfortable with their partners watching porn. I don't think any woman wants their partner watching porn. And there are studies, 2014 study that was a representative study with about 20,000 couples said that exposure to pornography, it was the Dorn and Price 2014 study, saying that they were more likely to have an affair, they were less likely to report happiness in their marriage. So I'm glad. So you see. But the paramount issue for me for why I think porn use is wrong is because I think it's a form of infidelity, not that it has those negative consequences. Well, it's a sign that you've done something wrong. My concern isn't that it's a gateway for cheating, because I think in a way that still takes away the responsibility. Look, it's wrong. You're cheating. You're cheating. It doesn't matter if you go. One, I think it doesn't fit the definition of monogamy, which is sexual exclusivity, which most relationships say they subscribe to. So I think you're breaking the relationship. I think men who watch porn but won't let their girlfriend get OnlyFans are in like one-sided open relationships. Sure, and I'm glad you say it. Like I'm super stoked you agree that married men using porn is cheating. Yeah. But you're just as you would not sleep with your friend's husband. Why are you doing OnlyFans knowing there's husbands checking you out? Like, come on, just quit. For the same reason that being young, and you see women on TikTok every day, they just walk around normally and they say, I find it really depressing to see married men check me out and realize the only thing separating me from his wife is age. You don't. So it's being young. So should women who are, you even admitted it's easier as a younger woman to pull men. Should younger women try to hamper their beauty since married men are more likely to lust after them than women their own age? At what point do you not put the onus on the person? No, that's actually more. No one is buying this. Yes, it is. Nobody's buying that older men are more likely to lust after younger women and older women. There's no difference from just being attractive and walking down the street and turning on your webcam and sticking your fist up your ass. In terms of more responsibility.
That's hilarious stuff. Yeah, that's a ridiculous point. It's not at all the same. but these people have, they don't even have a moral framework to, go by. They're just completely making it up based on whatever is profitable.
I'm glad I don't know what you
In
do.
terms of moral responsibility for the man perpetrating adultery, yes, there's no difference in moral responsibility on my end. Same way, just because younger women tend to be more checked out than older women by married men doesn't mean they have a responsibility to like hide their beauty or their youth. Would you agree? Married men tend to check out younger women over older women.
Farha, that is like saying there is no difference between somebody keeping pain pills in their house, knowing someone might rob them and take the pills, versus someone who sells pain pills to make addicts. That's like saying there's no difference between those two things. That's the comparison between being a beautiful woman walking down the street and being you, who is an online pornographer.
The difference with that is that your idea with the pain pills is that anybody who takes it, I'm doing a wrong thing. Same way I could be pro-alcohol but against drunk driving or pregnant women drinking. No, that would be the analogy.
The difference
is that I'm pro-alcohol.
The difference
if I
is
okay, here's a question. If I ran a liquor store and people bought liquor from my store and then they went and like drank drive, am I doing something morally wrong by selling alcohol? Am I morally responsible for the pregnant women's friends who come in and buy a bottle of alcohol to give it to their pregnant friend?
No, because selling a liquor store is like being the beautiful woman walking down the street.
Why?
You are more like the bartender who serves a clearly drunk guy, and they can be held responsible because at least half or 90% of your clients are married. You're more like the guilty bartender who gives the guy at the bar who's clearly drunk alcohol when he knows he shouldn't. You're more like that.
Okay, I see it more as the alcohol. Like I don't know how I'm responsible for men committing adultery. Same way me being
because you know they're married. You know they're married. You know 90% of them come to you are married, and you're not even willing to tell them to go away.
Lusting is a form of adultery, and I don't think it's the young women's fault for walking around and men being like lusting after them.
Yeah, because
why is porn the one instance you even admitted lust is a form of adultery?
Because you are putting your naked, sexualized, pornographic self out there specifically for them to do that.
Specifically for is ridiculous.
Why do people subscribe to you?
To get off. That means it's for married people to get off?
But you know that they're married who come to see you and do that.
Why do people buy alcohol from you to get drunk?
No, people can have alcohol
therefore you're selling to drunk drivers.
No,
what?
People can have alcohol just for a lovely fun
Yes, and people
time.
can watch porn while being single. I'm not responsible for people committing adultery. I'm not responsible if I sell alcohol for pregnant women drinking or people drinking behind the wheel.
No, it's the same as if you had a liquor store.
Go ahead. Let's let one chat come through.
You brought up something though that I think it can be like misogynistic or mean-spirited towards women, but also women might take it the wrong way and it's not meant to be. And that's when men bring up the issue of biological clock hitting the wall. So I agree with you, and I actually covered this in an episode, that like when people do when people show pictures of Pamela Anderson or Kirsten Dunst. Okay, so I don't know if you ever, Pamela Anderson was like Baywatch back in the 90s. Kirsten Dunst, Bring It On, highly underrated classic. One the wife enjoys a lot. Fun movie. And of course, Kirsten Dunst now in 2026 does not look like Kirsten Dunst in a cheerleader movie in 2001. She hasn't gotten plastic surgery, and and then people show pictures of her and they're like, hit the wall. Oh, and I'm like, she got old. That happens to people. That's not a big deal. I agree with you that is mean-spirited and misogynistic. On the other hand, though, I genuinely do worry about women who are told through feminism, you can have it all. You can have a career, you can be successful. And look, here's this celebrity that had kids when they were 43, and you can do that too. To me, I would say that is like telling someone, oh, you can drop out of high school and make the NFL draft. This guy did it. You can drop out of high school and drop out of college and start Facebook, this company. This person did it. Yeah, but it's a long shot. And if you're betting on frozen eggs and frozen embryos and fertility in your late 30s or 40s, there are a lot of women who realize I made a horrible bet and now it's a permanent cost. They'll never have kids. And to just merely say, hey, do you recognize this hazard in front of you? I would say that is not misogynistic, just to point that out.
I would agree. I would say 99.99% of the time people use the phrase that be wary of the clock or hitting the wall. It's being used in a misogynistic way.
Well, it's used on the internet. People on the internet,
jerks, also, by the way, they're always talking about looks. They're not really talking about fertility. They're saying the wall always happens. They're trying to say it's this revenge fantasy where it says, by the way, your sexual and romantic options are going to dry up and we're waiting to rue the day. It has nothing to do with their fertility. When people say that, hitting the wall in itself is such a vile statement.
It is, but it's
I'm saying that's always how these people use it.
And I think
women should know, for instance, the risks of, saying they're going to freeze their eggs and all these things, for sure.
But not even that, just finding a romantic partner. And would you agree, though, that somebody who delays choosing marriage, for example, to their mid-30s or late 30s, that the romantic options for them are going to be a lot more limited? Because the men their age might prefer to date someone younger, or the men that they would have dated. I don't know, is your fiance around your age?
He's 7 years older.
Okay, but he's still around. Oh, well, there you go. That kind of makes my point a little bit. That the men might either, if they'll say the woman's in her late 30s, the guy might want to date someone in late 20s. And so, they're now the women are competing with a lot younger cohorts. And the other problem is the pool of guys who are good that they would want to marry, a girl might have picked them up when I got married when I was 28. I know a lot of other guys get married in their 20s. Mm-hmm. It's like the good guys get picked up, and suddenly the guy who's left in his late 30s, his 40s. People often, rag on women the reason you're not married in your 40s is because you're a psycho who's got all these problems. But for a lot of guys who putter around, well, they have failure to launch. They probably got their own issues too. And so it's I worry. And then so for her, it's she's late 30s. It's either the good guys are taken, or the guys they're left with are of varying quality or aiming for younger girls, and women need to know about that.
I don't subscribe to that. I feel like it comes off stupid if I'm he doesn't like me because I'm younger. But genuinely, I met him through work. I met him because we were both of a height of caliber that we met an event. We
Not because you're younger.
So I think women, it's fine to wait until they're in their mid to late 30s. Because for instance, doctors marry their doctors, lawyers marry their lawyers, not marrying some 21-year-old, right? So I think women should build themselves up first, and then they should cash out from there. So if they reach the peak of their career, mid 20s or early 30s or late 30s, I think that's when they should aim to get married, because that's when they can meet the most high caliber guy. I think rather than just being.
Why do you need a career to meet a high caliber guy? I mean, your guy seems high caliber. You don't is he marrying you for your career because he likes you?
Like, no, I'm saying I met him through my career. Like,
But there's lots of ways.
OnlyFans?
no, not through OnlyFans. We met at like a philosophy event.
Okay, but you don't. Person doesn't have to become you're not a PhD philosopher. You know, you're
No,
able
I'm
to
saying
you're
we're
able to
both-
go. You don't have you're not a philosopher. You went to an event in a college, probably a university sponsored event. That's a great place to meet dudes. So it's like you
I
don't
met
have
him
to.
at an event where we were both speakers at. Likewise, a male doctor is more likely to marry and date a female doctor than just some like female patient that comes in, right? Like
Well,
they
that
marry
would be
people.
unethical.
They marry typically people of the same like caliber of success. I'm saying.
Well, not necessarily. It doesn't have to be the same occupation. And I think for many people, and what I would be worried about is saying like, oh, you got to build up your career and do all this first.
You don't have to. Sorry, you were saying, aren't they drawing up their options? Shouldn't they try to like cash out the guy while they're younger? And I'm like, no. If we're talking about what's most optimal for cashing out, I would say career over age.
No, because
It
it's
can be
hard
both,
for
but-
your fiance. Like, I'm sure there's other ladies his age or a little older who like him, but the pool then of girls he would like, it gets wider as the guy gets older. So for each woman as they get older, there's just more women that they have to compete against, and there's just a smaller pool of guys. If you wait, in your 30s to marry a guy who's of similar age, there's going to be less guys because some of them already got married off, right?
I don't know what the average age of marriage is, but
I think it's about 28
I think
or
women
30.
should, regardless, even if it does like start to minimize, I would prescribe that women don't just think like, let me take advantage of my youth by marrying someone young. I would think like, if that's the goal, it's getting the best quality guy you can. I would say maximizing your career. You're more likely to meet like my brother who's a lawyer is way more likely to marry a lawyer who's his like closer in age than just like a 23-year-old.
But I don't think most people, I'd love to do a poll on this. I don't think most people, their spouse has their same job. Most people, it's like a doctor and a teacher, or a doctor and secretary, or invoice person, or different.
Is that
or
true? I
kindergarten
don't know if
teacher.
that's true.
Well, it would, given that there's so many jobs and
It's
professions
usually
out there.
pretty close.
No, similar
usually
status. Similar status,
Usually guys
maybe.
make a little bit more, but also even like a female doctor and male doctor, he tends to make a bit more. So they could still be the same job and he still out earns a little bit more.
Right. No, what I'm saying though is that when you go and meet people, there's going to be all different kinds of things that draw you to them. They might have similar statuses, lower class, middle class, upper class, but different things you do or different circles that you run with. But I don't think, what I would worry about in this scenario is if somebody, what is the thing you value most? Do you want to have a certain career, or do you want to have a certain guy? And a certain like husband. And I would say, well, ideally the husband's going to be with you your whole life. Your career, not necessarily your whole life, especially what I went through recently with my wife. Like, she had a brain tumor removed. And I think, she had it removed, and we had the kids at the grandparents. And I spent like 2 weeks, just trying to help her learn how to talk again. And she was just like, I remember when because she only had like 50 words because the tumor was in her speech center. So they had to take it out, and she's speaking a lot better now, but it's still a long road. And she just like looks at me, and so she only had like 50 words to use. She couldn't say this is a phone. She couldn't say my name. And she's like, you love me? Like, she has to like pantomime. And I told her, I'm like, look, I'm not gonna baby talk you, because I know you're all in there. I know you're all in there. And I'm gonna get you out of there. I'm gonna get you out of there, and you're gonna be fine again. But I'm not going anywhere. I think it's way more valuable for a woman to find a guy who will have that attitude with them than to find a career that you can get the guy and you can still do the career. And the other thing I worry about is that if you both are working, you get what's called the 2-income trap, and that can be super stressful in marriages. I don't know if you ever heard about this. The 2-income trap, coined by Elizabeth Warren before she was a senator, wrote a book about this, I think while she was at Harvard. And she said a lot of people have financial difficulty. A lot of times it's way easier to live as a family with one provider rather than two. You might think, oh no, like she's totally dependent on this guy and it's super precarious. But when the man and the woman both work, then you end up usually, you need all of that income for your lifestyle. So if you only have one person working, if that person gets sick or they get like disabled, the other person can pick up the slack. But if both have to work to meet your lifestyle, then you're way more likely to run into financial stress. And because we've had a society where two people work, it inflates the money supply and it drives up housing, it drives up costs, and then it makes things actually more unaffordable for people. So not to get into the whole women working thing, but we'll probably get into that.
Just to be clear, I wasn't saying choose career.
That's actually interesting. A single income family is in some ways better off than a double income. I never actually thought about that. I guess that kind of makes sense. If one income can pay for all your stuff, I think that's probably the hardest thing, is making enough money off of one income to do that. But yeah, if you can make that work, I could definitely see that. It's easier for the other person to start than for both people to already be working and then he still can't make it. But yeah, that's actually interesting stuff right there. He needs to open like a financial audit thing, and compete with Caleb Hammer. I want to see that debate. Gooner Caleb Hammer versus theologian and apologist Trent Horn. That'd be some high tier slop.
Over a guy necessarily. You were saying that like the best way to like catch a good guy is to take advantage of your youth, and I was saying if the strategy is how to get the best high quality guy, it'd probably be to maximize your career, right? Like
I don't think
usually
so.
when you think
I
about
disagree
successful
with that.
people, they're marrying people and dating people who went to the same like talk about top tier people. It's people who also went to an Ivy League college. It's when I mean, like when you think of the royal family, like they met people through,
when I
like,
say a
Oxford and
successful
stuff.
person, I don't mean necessarily someone who has an Ivy League or a high 6-figure salary. I mean someone who is morally successful. They can provide for a family, even if it's modest. They're virtuous. They're not going to cheat. They're not going to lie. They're not going to do drugs, and they're faithful. They're not going to beat you when they're in a bad mood
I wouldn't say someone who, I wouldn't say that person is a worse person than someone who's more career oriented. Same way I wouldn't say a young person is a better person than an older person, but you were still saying youth is better for catching a high quality guy. And I'm saying, I think career is, that's the goal. Neither like infers that one's like morally better.
I don't know. I would say I know people who have tried to get married at 23, 33, and 43. And
the only thing they have to offer primarily, other than those things you,
I know people with amazing careers.
Yeah, but I'm saying the main thing they have as a woman is just like their looks. I agree. Then like getting married younger, they're gonna get a high quality guy if that's like their main thing they have to offer.
Well, it doesn't. I don't think people should marry for those superficial reasons because the looks are going to fade. They are just going to fade, and you have to be okay with that. You have to love the person who they are. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a very blessed day.
Yeah, that was some pretty good goy slop. I like that one. I got my num-nums out of that one. That was some good num-nums. I enjoyed it. It was a little bit, slow, but what can you do? Let's see, what else do we got on here? Actually, you know what? I know what we're gonna do. I know what we're gonna do. I've been wanting to do this for a while, actually. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna look at these LDS honeypots, and we're gonna, I'm gonna give my thoughts on these. We're gonna see how effective they are. We're gonna see, how many converts I think that you could get off of these. And here's the thing, okay? They know exactly what they're doing. All right, this isn't a whole surprise. All right, every cult does this. They use young women to lure in retarded men. So we're gonna look at these honeypots and see how effective these are. All right, hold on. I keep shifting my camera. My whole room is a mess, so we're gonna try and keep that off camera as much as possible. All right, let's get into this. Look at LDS honeypots, and we got one JW honeypot. All right, that's the thing. Also, there's the JW. I couldn't find as many for the Jehovah's Witnesses. I only found one. Here's the thing. All right, I've been kind of, doing a little bit of research on Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons. As far as cults go, I like the Mormons way more. They're way more interesting. They're way more conversational and friendly. JWs are just kind of spooky and a little bit, standoffish. So I'm not as much of a fan of that. They're not as interesting. They're just kind of, weird guys. But, Mormons, you can have conversations with Mormons. They're always down to talk about stuff. It's not difficult with them at all. So I like them a lot more. Let's get into this. Hold on.
I think I'm generally a pretty happy person. I'll admit that.
Hold on, I missed that whole thing. Alright, I mean, this one isn't very good, That one, there's not much to talk about there.
I'll admit that.
Before my mission, I loved to run.
I loved to cook.
The cool thing I only had about myself was that I played rugby.
I loved backpacking.
Empecé a tomar lecciones de piano a los 5 años.
I listened to pretty much everything.
Texas got the best barbecue, hands down.
My mom, I'm troublemaker. Rap, hip hop, R&B, not too much country.
We would go into our grandpa's lake and we'd go jug fishing.
Folk, country folk, indie folk.
So my role was rebounding, kicking it out. They hit the 3-pointer some of the time.
There's rock, hard rock. That's about all I got. Yeah, hymns.
Growing up, me and my family, we didn't really talk about God. So the first memory I have with missionaries is running away from them.
The missionaries came up to me and they were just like, hey, you want to learn about Jesus?
If you'd have told me 10 years ago that I'll be in this position, I would have told you that you're crazy.
What is she doing in church clothes?
When I joined the gospel, it was such a wonderful experience, and I want to share that experience with other people.
One thing I want to share with people about who missionaries are is that we are normal people.
All right, so this one isn't very, this one isn't very honeypotty. Not very honeypot-esque, honeypot coated. It's more just like, it's like, look at us. We're not like strangers and stuff. It's not very targeted at any like specific thing. Let's get on to the next one.
When we first met the missionaries, they brought happiness. They radiated joy and love.
I didn't know what the future held, and I was scared about it. Strangely enough, that's exactly when the missionaries had come to our door.
I don't know how else to describe it, but to say like the whole atmosphere changed and it felt happy.
Even with all my questions and all my doubts and all my fears, they were fully open and willing to communicate and answer any questions I had.
Yeah, they're very friendly. They're very welcoming, but that's the bit. You know what I mean? That's kind of the whole thing. That's the whole point, is that they're, that's how they get people in the door, is they are super like friendly and all that. But it's, not that they're not friendly, but they definitely play it up for the operation.
So when the ball hits the back of the net, it's like a swish. It's just like so nice. Probably the best.
All right, here we go. This one, we'll see how much of a honeypot this video is. They haven't been so far. I thought these would be better. I just kind of picked out a bunch of random ones. I think here we'll finally start to get into some decent ones.
Sound you can hear in soccer. So when I was 14, I started playing club soccer. I started training 2 to 3 times a day so that I could keep progressing. We sometimes find people playing soccer and we go and try to join them, and they were like, what is she doing in church clothes? It's very fun. They start asking more questions and it's a really cool experience. One thing I think people should know about missionaries is that we're all growing every day. Because we're growing and learning, we have that happiness and we have that joy.
Is this still on 1.5? It is still on 1.5. Okay, let's put it down to normal.
Join them, and they were like, what is she doing in church clothes? It's very fun. They start asking more questions and it's a really cool experience. One thing I think people should know about missionaries is that we're all growing every day. Because we're growing and learning, we have that happiness and we have that joy, and that's
okay. What do we think about this one? What's your name? I don't know, something, I don't know, I can't read that. It's something like Spanish name. I think this one is definitely, for the Mexicans. This is definitely, aiming for the Hispanics. I think she's some sort of Hispanic. And then you got the whole soccer thing. I think this could get a Mexican guy. You could get some Mexican guys off of this one. This one, I'll rate this like, I'll say like a 7 out of 10 honeypot, just because, it's, I don't know, it doesn't seem that, it's not that aggressive of a tactic, but I think this could still get somebody. Sister Cardenas, I don't know, I'm saying that wrong. But yeah, 7 out of 10 on that one.
My name is Sister Miller. I was raised in Wyoming. There's a lot of pride that comes from being able to live in Wyoming, because a lot of people will move there, stay for a winter, and then say never again. My parents divorced when I was 8, so my mom would work really long hours so that she could provide a home and food. The first memory I have with missionaries is running away from them. Everything kind of changed, so my mom got really
based. Running away from missionaries? That's based. They got her, but that's based.
sick.
She used to be based.
We actually thought she was going to die, and so she prayed and asked for more time, and the missionaries saw light on. So they knocked on her door, and she answered. They offered her a healing blessing, which she accepted. It's exactly what I needed. There's people who shut the door, and there's people who quickly say they're not interested or turn the other way really fast. And sometimes it's funny because I just smile and think, it took me 10 years, I'll see you 10 years from now, I know that everyone's on their own path, and it'll take everyone their own amount of time.
All right, Sister Miller. I think this is, they're going for kind of like the shy girl thing here. I think this one could be pretty effective, I think. I think you're going for mostly, maybe you're more trad guys with this one. I think this would be successful. I'll rate this like an 8.5 out of 10 honey pot. I definitely know a lot of guys that would fall for this.
It's funny because I just smile and think it took.
Sister Bruner and I are what you would call a companionship, meaning that we go out, we're together 24/7 for.
Okay, right off the bat, her in the blue, she seems, a little bit, she could be a little bit annoying. And then here in the red, she seems kind of uninterested, so that could maybe disrupt the honeypot operation.
At least 6 weeks, sometimes longer, and we go out together and we teach people about Jesus Christ all day, every day.
We've been companions for about a week and a half.
I feel like I'm generally a pretty happy person. I'll admit that.
A good missionary is very diligent in the work. They want to work hard every single day, and they don't want to do it just out of their own efforts. They want to do it because they truly love the people.
I think my mission has taught me how to have fun while working hard. My mission has taught me how to love everyone, despite their differences with me. My mission has taught me how to lean on my Savior Jesus Christ during hard times.
Whenever I thought about serving a mission.
All right, Newhouse. I think that's how you would say that. I think, I think a certain kind of guy would fall for this. They like that more frantic thing. So I could see how that would be effective. But I think, let's see, Brunner in the red. I think she seems a little bit better in comparison. I think she's a little bit less annoying than blue. So I think together, maybe they could make something happen. I think together I would rate them maybe like a 7.5 out of 10.
It caused great anxiety. It was so bad. I was praying about it, and I just got a comfort feeling, and I didn't get anxiety about it anymore, and otherwise I couldn't do this.
I'm Sister Newhouse. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee.
And I'm Sister
I think definitely. Oh, Kenosha?
Bruner, and I'm from Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Kenosha based. I think this one is more for like a normie guy audience. I think a lot of normie guys could fall for this one. I think 7.5 is a good score. Maybe a little bit higher or lower depending on who they're targeting. But I think somewhere around there.
Hi there.
All right, so this one, I get this one all the time. This one shows up on my shorts all the time. Look at all these Books of Mormon. That's crazy stuff. I actually got my Book of Mormon from missionaries in Tulsa. It's pretty good stuff.
Would you like to receive a gift? I'm a missionary for the church. Hi there. Would you like...
Do you hear that? So I want to, focus on this point. That shrill hi there.
Hi there.
Hi there, blowing out your eardrums. Not my favorite. It's a little bit off-putting. So right off the bat, I think that's got to bring down the score a little bit. Just because, that's a little bit annoying to listen to.
Would you like to receive a gift? I'm a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and this is the Book of Mormon. It specifically talks about Jesus Christ. I've seen the Book of Mormon be able to change my life so much. We would love to give you one as well. As you can see, we have lots of copies. So click the link below and missionaries will drop it off at your house and share a quick little message.
The amount of copies is wild. This is crazy stuff. I've never seen this many of the same religious book all in one place. I think, hold on, let me go back a few seconds here.
And this is the Book of Mormon.
She's very Mormon. I'll say that. She's very Mormon. Incredibly Mormon. Probably one of the most Mormon individuals I've ever seen. This is a very extreme case. I think that could be off-putting for a lot of guys. I don't know if this one would honeypot very well. I think maybe a desperate guy would fall for this. But it seems a little bit too much, like too theatrical, too much of an act.
Specifically talks about Jesus Christ. I've seen the Book of Mormon be able to change my life so much. We would love to give you one as well. As you can see, we have lots of copies. So click the link below and missionaries will drop it off at your house and share a quick little message about Jesus Christ. Thank you.
I think maybe like a 6 to somewhere like maybe a 6.5 on that one.
3 reasons to meet with missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Is this AI?
3 reasons to meet with missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
This, I don't know, it's a little bit strange, It could just be because it's a screen recording, but I don't know. Just like the way the voice is a little bit strange, and like the background and the way that they're standing there is a little bit unusual. I will say though, the red, white, and blue, that would get me.
3 reasons to meet with missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, the red, white, and blue is that's a killer. That'll get you. So that's gonna be points right there. You got this other one in the red. She didn't say anything yet. So it's kind of hard to tell there. But the dresses, that's the thing. The dresses, that's they come off really trad. So that's definitely a tactic that they use.
Learn how to have more faith in Jesus Christ. Find lasting happiness and how to pray to get answers from God.
To get started, click the link below this video to make a request online. Then 2 missionaries in your area will reach out with a text.
It's so like AI coded. That's the only thing is, this kind of seems like AI slop. You got the flying spaghetti monster right here. You love to see it.
Email or phone call. Together, you'll set up a time to meet. It can be online, at home, at church, or even outside. The visits usually start with a prayer. The missionaries will share a message about Jesus Christ and God's plan for you, and will answer any questions.
These comments are completely slop. Look at these comments. If I could meet those missionaries, I'd fund to Jesus for sure. Be quiet, Gooner. I know Jesus, he works for a local yard care company. That's pretty good. Christ is coming, and so am I, degenerate. I meet God in bed with another man. I get holy like God each night. Gay, completely disgusting.
You may have. It's usually less than 30 minutes. When they're finished,
I'll show you Jesus. What does that even mean?
they'll invite you to pray, come to church, and take steps to draw nearer to God.
I rebuke the Church of Jesus Christ, wrong ladder, by the way, day saints. It's demonic and evil and corrupt, which is why you are pushing it in my face. In Jesus' name, amen. Slop, like holy slop, holy non-denominational slop. I like doggy better, degenerate comment.
Click the link below to request a visit from the missionaries.
That's all well and good until they start asking for 10% of your income. Slop, get out of here. Like, what do you think this is? Oh, why would you donate to your church? Why would you donate to your religion? It's like, you're dumb.
We are missionaries for Jesus Christ, and we teach about God's love and...
Okay, no, we're not off to a good start with this one. Okay, it's looking a little bit mongoloid. It's looking a little bit mongoloid. We got the hardcover Book of Mormon. Maybe they're higher ranking or something. They don't have to run around with the soft covers.
About this book. Each page of this book testifies about his son Jesus Christ and what he did for us. And we promise that as you learn more about this book, you will find God more in your life.
suburban, like country guys would definitely, fall for this blonde over here. This is exactly what they go for. So I could see, you have an HOA and a lifted truck, and you're like a degenerate white boy. You'd probably, have a decent chance of falling for this over here. I don't know about T21 over here. Not to be mean, but like, come on, it's a little bit strange stuff.
Click the link below to get a free copy. Our sister mission.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to score that one pretty low. I think maybe like maybe well, definitely higher for the blonde. Maybe like a 6 to 8 for the blonde. Maybe like a 5 to a 6.5 for the other one.
Missionaries. Of course, Hollywood makes a horror movie about us, which we
This is like a very broad audience for this one right here. I could see, kind of all sorts of guys that would fall for this.
get referrals from. Thank you. We're sister mission.
Definitely a lot of normie guys would fall for that. She seems kind of like that, like normie girl, but she's actually evil. That's what I'm getting from that one. So I think maybe, I think I'd actually put that pretty high. Maybe like, it could be high or low. You know what I mean? It could be high or low. Because if you can see the crazy, then it's not going to work. But if you can't immediately see the crazy, then it's going to, push that score up. So I think anywhere from like a 6 to like an 8, 8.5, maybe even a 9.
Missionaries. Of course, she's wearing my dress right now. Sharing is caring. We're sister missionaries. Of course, we're spending our payday doing our nails.
There's some white guy that would fall for this. Like some, like, passport bro.
Sister missionaries. Of course, every single person I talk to says I look like Tris from Divergent.
We're sister missionaries. Of course, people guess I'm from anywhere besides my home country, which is Tonga.
I think if they can't guess Tonga, it's because they don't know what that is. I think anyone who knows Tonga would know. That's very Tonga. I don't know Tonga, but I don't see how that's like impossible to guess that one.
Missionaries, of course we can help you set goals with God. You can meet with sister.
This is very spooky. Look at this big spooky. Look at this spooky structure back here. Is this their building? This is spooky looking stuff. It looks like a scary PlayStation 3. Why would you go in here? It looks like a mosque. This looks very Muslim. I think let's see, I'm gonna give lower score to Tonga over here. Maybe like a 5 to a 7. For black dress here, I don't know. We didn't really see very much of her. Maybe like a 6 or a 7. Pink right here, I think she's probably the highest score. I said like 6 to an 8.5. And then her, she's like, passport bros would go for that. So probably pretty high. 7 or 8.
Missionaries like us at comingtochrist.org.
They try and get you. That's how they get you, is they're all in dresses. They're all like presenting themselves well. They're all polite. So they come off very trad. I think that's probably the best tactic.
I feel like you've hit rock bottom and your lowest moment.
This video is already strange. Why are we walking? First of all, why are we walking outside? What is this? Like a motel in the back? We got a motel happening. It could be an elementary school. This is either a motel or an elementary school. You got the dead trees, so maybe in the fall or the winter. Kind of spooky.
God will help you discover your new life through prayer. I feel like you've hit rock bottom.
Do you feel like you've hit rock bottom, you disgusting chud?
In your lowest moments, God will help you discover your new life through prayer.
Sign up now, and missionaries like us will teach you to pray in 3 simple lessons.
Sign up down below.
I don't like that one. I don't like that one at all. That's so weird. It's just kind of an unsettling video. Probably not very effective. I would probably make that like a 4 or 5. Not good stuff.
someone's in there. This is gonna be fun. Are you excited?
She seems like reformed lib. That's what I'm getting. I'm getting like reformed lib from the sweater. Or what is that? I don't know. What is that? A cardigan? Is that what that would be?
Excited? Are you ready? Yes. Are you pumped up? Yes. Look humble, but confident.
Wow, that was super funny.
Good afternoon. We are representatives.
See, and then see how she turned on the bit. Did you see that?
Oh, someone's in there. This is gonna be fun. Are you excited? Excited. Yeah.
You know, I'm getting, it's that kind of like a lib, like acting. It's like that theater lib acting. So she's definitely maybe like some sort of reformed lib. And then over here in the black seems like, mostly normal. You can still tell kind of Mormon. She looks Mormon. But I think, for a girl boss over here, I'd probably give her like a 6'5", maybe. Because I don't think any trad is going to fall for that. I don't think most regular guys are going to fall for that. Maybe a lib guy or a strange guy would fall for that. So I'll go 6'5". And then her, I think, I think you have a better shot. Maybe a lot of normie guys, maybe some more trad guys would go for that. Maybe like a 7 or an 8, somewhere in there.
Ready? Yes. Are you pumped up? Yes. Look humble, but confident.
And she's a little bit more normal. The other one's kind of annoying. Kind of a side effect of the lib thing going on.
Good afternoon. We
And then look at that. Look at the bit. Look how like quick they can turn it on.
are representatives.
They just go right into the sales pitch. It's crazy.
I think everyone could benefit from a message about how to better empathize with others.
We got Erica Kirk here. On the surface, you would think that this would work. You would think that this would be really effective. But I think, she has the Erica Kirk stare. The very processed hair. She has the Erica Kirk thing going on. I don't know. It's a little bit unsettling. It's not necessarily like repulsive, but it's just kind of there's just something off there.
We as human beings can often be found guilty of judging someone on their outward appearance.
I just did. True. We can be guilty of judging someone on their outward appearance, Erica.
Or their actions, or even lack of actions. I recently listened to the talk by Jay and Annette.
Okay, but like you should judge people on their actions, though. Like, isn't that the whole thing? Isn't that what we're pushing for? So like if you can't, judge someone's character by their appearance or their actions, what is there left? You know what I mean?
Dennis called His Yoke is Easy and His Burden is Light. And it really made me think about
Hold on, let's see. What was that?
Dennis.
Jay Annette Dennis. Hold on, we're going to look into that real quick. Hold on, let's see. Let's make sure this is up. It is. Okay. Jay Annette Dennis. Let's pull this up here. My computer's slow because it's like ancient technology. This is what they ran the pyramid energy farms with. All right. Sister J. Annette Dennis was sustained as first counselor in the Relief Society General Presidency for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's a lot of words. First counselor, primary general advisory council with her husband on the Davis County Church Communications Council. Numerous church callings. Stake Relief Society secretary, ward primary president, ward relief society counselor and teacher, ward young women counselor, and temple ordinance worker. mission leaders in Ecuador, Ecuador temple, counselor in the temple presidency, and assistant to the matron. Interesting stuff. I don't know what all those titles mean. Let's see, what did she say?
It's called His Yoke is Easy. And
His yoke is easy. Let's see if we can find this. Here it is. I guess it's this right here. Let's make sure. All right. 10 minutes and 39 seconds. We're just gonna skim through this. Jack with a bird hunting dog named Cassie. Let's see, a lot of slop in here. I don't know, this is kind of slop. I don't feel like reading all that. Alright, good stuff. I'm not reading all that.
His burden is light. And it really made me think about the question, would we treat someone different if we knew what they were going through? We are commanded to love, not to judge, and everyone deserves to feel that they belong. I invite everyone to listen to this talk and see how we can love more and criticize less.
Should we listen to it? Should we listen to the talk? Maybe we'll listen to it.
Hi, we're missionaries from...
Be quiet. We'll talk about it. What was the thing? What was her name? Alright, right here. Jayanette Davis. Jayanette Dennis. Alright, let's listen to it. Let's get into this. We're gonna do it. Can we put this on 1.5? Hold on, maybe this website sucks. Let's see, can we open... Let's open this in a new YouTube. Let's see if we can get it on here.
Hi, we're missionaries.
Quiet! His yoke is east. Here we go. Here it is, right here. We'll just pull it up on YouTube. Let's see. Let's make sure it's going. It's going on the stream.
The story is told of a man named Jack who had a beloved bird hunting dog named Cassie.
No, she's talking too slow, and I can tell this is going to be a little bit annoying to watch.
Jack was so proud of Cassie and often bragged about what a skilled dog she
was.
Good
stuff. This is in the Bible, by the way.
Jack invited some friends to watch Cassie perform. After arriving at the hunting club, Jack let Cassie out to run around while he went inside to check in. When it was time to begin, Jack was anxious to show off Cassie's amazing skills. However, Cassie was acting strange. She wouldn't obey any of Jack's commands as she usually did so willingly. All she wanted to do was remain by his side. Jack was frustrated and embarrassed and angry with Cassie. Soon he suggested they leave. Cassie wouldn't even jump into the back of the truck, and so Jack impatiently picked her up and shoved her in the kennel. He fumed as those with him made fun of his dog's behavior all the way home. Jack couldn't understand why Cassie was misbehaving. She had been trained well, and her whole desire in the past had been to please and serve him. After arriving home, Jack began examining Cassie for injuries, burrs, or ticks, as he usually did. As he put his hand on her chest, he felt something wet and found his hand covered with blood. To his shame and horror, he found that Cassie had a long, wide gash right to her chest bone. He found another on her right front leg, also to the bone. Jack took Cassie into his arms and began to.
What a terrible dog. Like, what a terrible dog owner. Like, what? That's crazy. You, like, mutilate your dog and you don't even know.
Cry. His shame at how he had misjudged and treated her was overwhelming. Cassie had been acting uncharacteristically earlier in the day because she was hurt. Her behavior had been influenced by her pain, her suffering.
All right, so he didn't do that. All right, it wasn't Jack's fault. It was already like that. How did this happen? And you don't even notice. That's crazy stuff.
And her wounds. It had nothing to do with a lack of desire to obey Jack or a lack of love for him. I heard this story years ago and have never forgotten it. How many wounded individuals do we have among us? How often do we judge others based on their outward appearance and actions or lack of action, when if we fully understood, we would instead react with compassion and a desire to help instead of adding to their burdens with our judgment? I have been guilty of this many times in my life, but the Lord has patiently taught me through personal experiences and as I have listened to the life experiences of many others. I have come to more fully appreciate the example of our dear Savior as he spent so much of his time ministering to others with love. My youngest daughter's life experience has included emotional health challenges.
I think that's all we need to hear of that. You know, that's a decent message. You know, you don't really know. You know, you don't really know what somebody's going through that could be, messing them up. That's interesting stuff. Decent message, I guess. Cool stuff. Let's get back into the good stuff here.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Do you ever wonder if there's a God that cares about you and how you can feel that he...
Blank stare. Look at this blank stare. It's so spooky stuff. Spooky blank stare. Let's make sure everything's working right. Everything is working good in the stream. Just gotta make sure.
cares? If so, there are missionaries like us that can teach you in your area about how God's plan is meant for you.
I'm not a fan of that blank stare. We're not a fan of this. This is low points here.
Click the link below to sign up to meet with local missionaries in your area.
Okay, so Blue didn't talk over here. Blue didn't say anything, so we don't really have much to go off of with Blue. For a 1,000-yard stare, I don't know. I'm gonna do like a 5-5 on that one. Just because that's a little bit off-putting. It's a little bit, it's kind of just strange stuff. She's nervous for the camera, probably. That's fine. But not a very good honeypot tactic. Not a very good strategy. It's just a little bit unusual.
Like us that can teach you in your area about how God's plan is meant for you. Click the link below to sign up to meet with local missionaries in your area.
And she's kind of like slurring her words a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of that. So yeah, I'd say like 5, maybe 5-5.
We are missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
We invite you to come to church with us this Sunday. We know that as you make the sacrifice to come to church, that you will be blessed. We know that at church you can feel the peace, rest, and comfort that the Savior provides.
All right, here we go. This is a little bit better. Okay, I could see this working, especially the blonde over here. This is better honeypot stuff going on.
We can promise you that as you come to church, you'll grow your relationship with God and deepen your relationship with His Son, Jesus Christ. And you'll have more peace and joy in your life.
This brown hair is a little bit spooky. That's the only thing. Is she's kind of spooky looking. She seems kind of like Scientology ish. Like Scientologist a little bit. That's what I'm getting. But I think the blonde is very good honeypot stuff. Very good honeypot material. I think that would be definitely very effective. I'd go maybe like an 8, possibly a 9. We'll say 8-5 for the blonde. For the Scientologist over here, it's kind of spooky, a little bit off-putting, a little unsettling. I'll go maybe like a 5 or a 6.
We'll see you then.
See you then. Bye!
I was really struggling with depression, so I kneeled down and I just pled. I was like, if there's a God, just please help me. I started crying and I'd never felt so much peace in my life. And I said, I feel like somebody knows me better than I've ever known myself, and that is not possible if there isn't a God. And that changed the rest of my life. If you want to find more meaning and purpose in your life like I did, tap the link below to meet with missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
I don't know. Kind of not very exciting. Um, she seems like maybe she like knows more though. You know what I mean? She seems maybe like she knows more of what's going on. She knows more LDS theology. She seems like she kind of knows what's going on more with the organization. I wouldn't say the best honeypot. I could see, maybe in some circumstances where that would work. I'll go like a 5 or a 6.
In your area.
Let's see, is that all of them? All right, that's all the LDS ones. We got one more. Let's
We are
see.
missionaries for.
Hold on. All right, it's gonna be like that. Okay, we'll just have to go back in here. We got one LDS, or no, not LDS, JW. I could only find one. All right, we got a nice black lady here. You know, do you see what I mean? How this is just kind of strange? It's like just like the music and the way that it's recorded. Like this is like some spooky uh like what is it? What's the website? Like a spooky like we're about to like watch a murder happen or something. Like this is some like 2010s like YouTube horror. Like look at this. It's so spooky and then like the music, I don't know. She seems like she could make I think she could make that foo-foo. We'll go, I'm actually gonna go maybe like a 7 or 8 on this one. She seems decent. You know, I think I think this could be a good honeypot. I think she has she could come off as like a wife type. I think, but overall, the whole video is kind of spooky. I'll go. I gotta take off points because it's like a murder video. I'll go 5 or 6 on this one. It would be higher if the video was better. If it wasn't so creepy, it could probably be like a 7 or an 8, possibly a 9. But yeah, it's just so spooky. I gotta take off points from that one. But very classy, very um like peak like black culture era. That's what I'm getting from this one. Like very jazz, very Harlem Renaissance. Very like classy, um, black church lady. So that's all we got for those honey pots. That was pretty good. I think I think my point stands and is displayed there that Jehovah's Witnesses are just a lot spookier. They're a lot spookier people than Mormons. But that's what I think of those honey pots. Let's see. I'll check if there's anything else that I really want to look at right now. That might be it. You know what I mean? If I can't find something else I want to get into. kind of want something a little bit shorter if I'm going to do anything. I think we'll call it there. I might get back on later, maybe, with the stack. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We might get on Rumble. You never know. We'll see how it goes. But I think we're gonna wrap it up there. I think that's all I got for this one. We got some good stuff in. I think we got some good thoughts out there. Not a ton of commentary today, but I think a lot of it spoke for itself. We got